The kingdom of Alvora was known for its shining towers, wide gardens, and peaceful streets. People often spoke of its beauty, but inside the grand palace, life was not always as calm as it appeared. The marble floors gleamed under the sunlight, and golden chandeliers reflected bright light across every hall. But there was a tension that even the most loyal guards could feel in the air. Rion, one of the most trusted royal guards, noticed it the moment he stepped into the palace. He had served the royal family for many years. His uniform was always clean, his sword polished, and his posture perfect. But loyalty was more than discipline for Rion. He had seen generations of the royal family grow, and he treated them as his own. Rion had always felt that protecting them was more than a duty, it was a calling. The queen of Alvora, Camilla, had always been graceful and kind. She moved through the palace with an air of calm, but recently, even she seemed restless. She spent long hours in her private chamber and often stared out of the window at the gardens below. Rian noticed the worry in her eyes the way a hawk notices a shadow among the trees. He could sense that something unusual was about to happen, though he did not yet know what it was. Princess Charla, the young and gentle daughter of the queen, was a bright spirit in the palace. She loved the gardens, the birds, and the small paths that wound through the palace courtyard. Every morning, she would ask Rian to walk with her as she collected flowers. Rian always agreed. He watched her laugh freely, feeling a strange warmth in his heart that he did not entirely understand. Charla was the light of the palace, and he was determined to keep her safe no matter what. One quiet morning, as the sun rose golden and soft across the palace walls, Rian was summoned to the queen's chamber. The guard who usually delivered messages hesitated at the door before calling his name. Rian straightened, adjusted his gloves, and stepped inside. Camilla was standing near the window, her hands trembling lightly. The sunlight made her hair glow, but it could not hide the worry in her eyes. Rian, Camilla said, her voice soft and almost shaking. I need your help with something very private. Rian bowed slightly. Of course, Your Majesty. Anything you wish. She turned to face him fully. It is about Charla. There is a truth I have hidden for many years, and now I cannot keep it inside any longer. Rian felt a sudden chill in his chest. He had served the queen faithfully, and he thought he knew all her concerns, but this was different. This was personal. Deeply personal. What kind of truth, Your Majesty? He asked carefully. Camilla's eyes filled with tears, but she blinked them back quickly. I need a DNA test. I need to confirm something about Charla, and I cannot do it without someone I trust by my side. That someone is you. Rian's heart raced. A DNA test in the palace. For Princess Charla, the idea seemed impossible. I will do as you ask, Your Majesty. I will go wherever you need me to take her. Camilla nodded, her shoulders sagging as though a great weight had been lifted slightly by sharing her secret. Take her to the royal doctor today. Please, Rian, make it gentle. She must not know why. Rian agreed without hesitation. He understood that the queen was trying to protect her daughter from worry. He had seen Charla's innocence and did not want anything to disturb it. When Rian entered Charla's room, the princess was humming quietly to herself as she arranged small pots of flowers on the windowsill. She looked up and smiled at him. Good morning, Rian. Shall we walk in the gardens today? Rian smiled back, trying to hide his concern. Yes, princess. But first I need to take you to the doctor for a short visit. It will be very quick, and then we can enjoy the gardens together. Charla nodded without hesitation. She trusted Rian completely, and that trust made him feel a mixture of pride and fear. He led her down the wide corridors of the palace. The golden walls shimmered in the morning sunlight, and the floors echoed with the soft sound of their footsteps. Servants and other guards greeted them as they passed. Unaware of the weight on Rian's shoulders, at the royal doctor's chamber, a small team waited. The doctor, a kind woman named Lysandra, greeted Charla warmly. Hello, princess. Today, we are going to do something very small. You will feel nothing more than a tiny prick, and then it will be over. Do you like stories while we work? Charla nodded enthusiastically. Yes, please. As the doctor prepared the sample collection, Rian stood quietly beside Charla. He could see the innocence in her eyes, the curiosity and wonder, and he felt a pang of guilt for what might be revealed. But he also knew that the truth could not remain hidden forever. The process was brief, almost gentle, and Charla barely noticed it. She smiled and asked the doctor about the stories of princesses and magic gardens, and Lysandra happily told them. Rian stayed silent, his mind racing. What would the results reveal? What truth did Camilla fear so much? After the procedure, Rian guided Charla back to her room. She laughed and collected more flowers, completely unaware of the storm that was approaching. Rian, however, felt every step heavier than the last. He could sense the significance of what he had just done, even if Charla could not. That evening, as the sun dipped below the palace towers, Camilla called Rian back to her chamber. The envelope with the results had arrived. Her hands shook as she held it, and her eyes met Rian's. Open it for me, she whispered, her voice barely audible. Rian took a deep breath, his fingers trembling. He cut the seal carefully and unfolded the document. His eyes scanned the words, and he felt his breath catch in his throat. The results contained a truth that neither he nor Charla could have imagined. Camilla looked at him, her eyes pleading. I had to tell someone I trust. You must understand why I waited so long. Rian nodded, though his heart pounded and his mind raced. He did not speak. There were no words that could immediately explain the mix of shock, responsibility, and fear he felt. He remembered every moment of his life in the palace, the celebrations, the quiet nights, the moments when he had watched over Charla like a shadow protecting her from harm. He had never imagined that those years of loyalty and care would bring him to this moment. Rian knew that nothing would ever be the same after this. The palace, once a place of calm and routine, now held a secret that would change the lives of everyone inside. But he also knew one thing for certain. He would protect Charla, no matter what the truth revealed, and he would stand by Camilla's side, helping her navigate the storm that was about to come. The sun finally set over Alv, casting long shadows across the marble floors. Rian stood silently in the chamber, the weight of the secret pressing down on him. Outside, the kingdom appeared peaceful, but inside, the first whispers of change had begun. And Rian, loyal and steadfast, prepared himself for what he could not yet fully understand. The palace of Alvora seemed quieter than usual that morning, yet the tension inside Camilla's chamber was heavy enough to touch. Rian stood near the window, his hands clasped tightly in front of him. He could feel the pulse of the palace, not from the heartbeat of the guards or the hum of servants, but from the invisible weight of truth that now hung over every hall. Camilla sat at her writing desk, her fingers running across the smooth surface, but her mind was far from the papers in front of her. She had asked Rian to remain calm, but neither of them had any illusions about what awaited. The DNA results were clear, and their meaning would change everything. Rian had spent the night pacing the corridors, thinking of the consequences. He had imagined countless scenarios, from quiet acknowledgement to public scandal. He had tried to steel himself, but nothing had prepared him for the depth of emotion he now faced. His loyalty to Camilla was complete, but loyalty alone could not carry him through what he was about to hear. Camilla's voice broke the silence. Rian, the time has come. You must know everything. You have served me faithfully, and I trust you more than anyone. That trust is why I am telling you this. Rian straightened. His heart pounded. Your Majesty, I will hear everything, no matter what it is. Camilla took a deep breath and began. Years ago, before Charla was born, there was a night of danger. The kingdom faced rebellion, and I feared for my life. The king was away, and I was alone in the palace. You were there, Rian. You stayed with me when no one else could. You protected me, and in that night, a bond was formed, a bond I never thought I would speak of, because the consequences were too great. Rian's hands trembled slightly. Memories he had buried came rushing back, the long night of fear, the quiet corridors, the moments of shared concern and care. He remembered every detail, but he had never imagined that it would lead to this. Camilla continued, her voice soft but steady. Charla is your daughter, Rian. You were her father. The DNA test confirmed it. I wanted to protect both of you from the world, from gossip, from judgment. But now, the truth must be acknowledged. Rian felt the ground shift beneath him. He could barely comprehend the words. His mind swirled with shock, disbelief, and a strange, powerful emotion he had never allowed himself to name. He had cared for Charla all her life, but this revelation made everything he had felt suddenly make sense in ways he could not explain. He sank to a chair, his head in his hands. I am her father, he whispered, as if saying the words aloud could make them real. All this time, I never imagined. Camilla stepped closer, her eyes filled with both sorrow and relief. I could not tell you before. The king, the council, the people, none of them would understand. But now, you must prepare yourself. This is no longer a secret between us. It is a truth that will affect the entire palace and the kingdom. Rian struggled to breathe. He had served the royal family his entire life. He had followed orders, fought battles, and protected the palace from danger. Yet no training had prepared him for this moment. No lesson had taught him how to hold a child in his arms, knowing she was his own daughter, a truth kept hidden for years. He looked toward the door as if expecting the walls themselves to whisper words of guidance. The weight of responsibility pressed on him, heavy and undeniable. He realized that the role of a father was not just about care, but about guidance, protection, and unconditional love. And now, he would have to embrace it fully, without hesitation. Camilla spoke again, her voice soft but firm. Rian, Charla must remain safe. She cannot know the full truth yet. She must grow in love and security before she understands. But you must stand beside her. You must protect her as both God and father. You must guide her through the palace, through life, through everything. Rian nodded, swallowing the lump in his throat. I will protect her, Your Majesty. I will stand by her side, always. No matter what comes, I promise. Camilla's eyes glistened with tears, and she placed a hand lightly on his shoulder. Thank you, Rian. That is all I could ask. The world may not be ready for this truth, but our family can be. Together we will navigate this, and Charla will grow knowing she is loved. The two of them sat in silence for a few moments, the weight of the revelations settling over them. Rian's mind replayed every memory with Charla, every walk in the gardens, every moment of guidance, every time he had watched over her quietly from the shadows. Each moment now carried a new meaning. Each smile, each laugh, each hug was more precious than ever before. He realized that the bond he had always felt with her was more than loyalty. It was love in its truest, most protective form. And now, it was his responsibility to nurture that love, to give her the security and guidance she deserved. Camilla finally spoke again. Rian, we must be careful. The king must know soon, but we must choose the right time. He loves Charla dearly, and I believe he will accept the truth if we present it wisely. But the council will not understand so easily. They will test us, question us, and perhaps even challenge us. Rian's jaw tightened. He was ready to face any challenge for Charla. Then we will face it together. I will not allow anyone to harm her, to question her place in this family, or to diminish her happiness. I swear it. Camilla nodded, a small smile breaking through her worried expression. That is why I trust you. The bond you share with Charla is stronger than any rule, stronger than any court. It is love, and it is truth. That is what matters most. The room felt lighter after that moment. Though the tension remained, the secret had been revealed between them, but the palace still held many eyes, many ears, many whispers. Rian understood that their journey was only beginning. The coming days would test them, push them to their limits, and challenge everything they believed about loyalty, family, and honor. Rian rose from his chair and walked toward the window, gazing at the gardens below. Charla was there, unaware of the storm that had passed behind palace doors. She was playing, picking flowers, laughing with the innocence of youth. Rian felt a surge of determination. She would remain happy, safe, and loved, no matter what obstacles arose. He turned back to Camilla. Your Majesty, I will do everything to protect her. I will ensure that she grows knowing love, guidance, and security. I will stand as her father, her guardian, and her protector. Camilla's hand rested on his arm, a gentle gesture that carried gratitude and trust. I know you will, Rian. That is why I have chosen to tell you. Together we will guide her, shield her, and prepare her for the truth she will one day need to know. But for now, our priority is her happiness, her innocence, and her safety. Rian nodded, feeling a strength rise within him. The palace walls, once simply a place of duty and order, now became a home in a new sense. A home where truth, love, and responsibility intertwined in ways he had never imagined. He knew that the path ahead would not be easy, but he also knew that Charla's laughter, her joy, and her life were worth every challenge. As the sun began to sink behind the palace towers, casting golden light across the marble floors, Rian stood silently, reflecting on the gravity of what had been revealed. The truth had been brought into the open, and though it carried weight, it also carried clarity, purpose, and a renewed sense of dedication. He would face the coming days with courage. Guided by the bond he shared with Charla and the trust Camilla had placed in him, he would protect the princess, guide her, and ensure that the palace remained a place of safety and love. And though the secret had been revealed, Rian knew that this was only the beginning. Challenges, questions, and tests of loyalty would come, but he was ready. For the first time, he fully understood the depth of responsibility, the power of truth, and the meaning of love in its most protective form. The kingdom of Alvora remained quiet on the surface, but inside the walls of the palace a new chapter had begun, a chapter of truth, of courage, and of hearts intertwined by secrets and love. And Rian, steadfast and loyal, would stand at the center of it all, a protector, a guardian, and a father, ready to face whatever came next. The morning sun had barely touched the towers of Alvora when Rian awoke to the sound of distant bells. The palace was quiet, but he could feel the weight of the previous day pressing on him like a heavy stone. The memory of Camilla's trembling hands and the envelope in her grasp stayed in his mind. Today, the results of the DNA test would be revealed, and nothing in his life would ever feel the same again. Rian dressed carefully, his uniform perfectly pressed as always. He fastened the golden buttons with deliberate care, but his hands shook slightly. He took a deep breath, trying to calm his racing heart. Every step toward the queen's chamber felt heavier than the last. The corridors seemed longer, the marble floors colder. He had walked them countless times, but today they felt unfamiliar, as though the palace itself was holding its breath. When Rian entered Camilla's chamber, the queen was seated by the window, her fingers entwined nervously. Her eyes were distant, staring at the gardens below, but the moment she saw him, they flickered with recognition. She motioned for him to sit across from her. I cannot stay calm any longer, Rian, Camilla admitted softly. I have kept this secret for many years, but now I must face it. The truth must be known. Rian nodded, though his throat felt tight. I understand, Your Majesty. Whatever it is, I will stand by you. Camilla handed him the sealed envelope once more. It is here. You must open it. I am too afraid to do it myself. Rian took a deep breath, feeling the cold edge of fear run down his spine. He held the envelope in his hands, turning it slowly as if to delay the moment. He had been loyal to this family his entire life, and now he faced a truth that could change everything. With careful fingers, he cut the seal and unfolded the paper. The result stared back at him in clear black letters. but the meaning was almost too much to comprehend. He read the lines again, slower this time, trying to make sense of what he saw. The DNA test confirmed what Camilla had feared for years, a secret that had been buried deep within the walls of the palace. Rian's eyes widened, and for a moment he could not breathe. The truth was so shocking, so unimaginable that his mind refused to accept it. He looked up at Camilla, and she nodded slightly, as though saying silently, "Yes, it is true." "You already knew," Rian whispered, his voice barely audible. "You knew this all along." Camilla's lips trembled as she answered, "Yes, I could not bear to speak it. I kept it hidden to protect Charla, to protect the kingdom, and to protect you." Rian's mind raced. The years of loyalty, the quiet moments in the palace gardens, the nights when he had watched over Charla without anyone noticing, all of it suddenly felt heavier. Every memory was tinged with a new meaning, a meaning he had never imagined. He remembered the first day he had met Camilla after she became queen. She had been young and determined, carrying the weight of the kingdom on her shoulders. He had promised to protect her, and he had kept that promise every day. But now, he realized that protecting the family meant more than guarding the palace gates. It meant protecting a truth that could shatter hearts. Camilla's voice broke the silence. "Rian, there is more. You need to understand why I waited so long. Charla's life has been my greatest joy, and I wanted to shield her from pain. I hoped the truth would never be discovered. But now the kingdom is changing. I cannot hide it anymore." Rian nodded, swallowing the lump in his throat. He felt a strange mixture of fear and responsibility. "What do we do now, Your Majesty?" Camilla's eyes were full of worry. "We must decide carefully. The king must know the truth, but he is proud and strong. The council would never forgive me if they learned the secret first. You, Rian, must help me. You must help me protect Charla through this." Rian's heart ached at the thought of the child he had grown to love so dearly. He had spent countless hours teaching her small lessons, walking with her in the gardens, and protecting her from the minor dangers of palace life. He had never imagined that one day he would be standing at this moment, holding the truth in his hands. "Do you want me to tell her?" Rian asked cautiously. Camilla shook her head. "Not yet. She is too young. She must grow with love and care before she can understand the full truth. For now she must remain safe." The weight of that responsibility pressed on Rian's shoulders like never before. He had sworn to protect the family, but now the meaning of that oath had expanded beyond anything he had imagined. It was no longer about defending the palace walls. It was about guiding hearts, protecting innocence, and standing strong in the face of secrets that could change lives forever. The rest of the morning passed in tense silence. Camilla moved about her chamber, arranging papers and speaking to advisors quietly. But Rian could tell her mind was elsewhere. He watched her carefully, seeing the fear and sorrow that she tried to hide behind her royal composure. He realized that the queen, for all her strength and dignity, was also vulnerable. She needed him now more than ever. At midday, the royal doctor arrived with a small box containing additional notes from the test. Lysandra, the doctor, had always been kind to Charla, and Rian had trusted her completely. She looked at him and Camilla with quiet concern. "The results are clear," she said. "There is no error in the testing. The truth must be acknowledged." Camilla nodded, her lips pressed together. "Yes, I know. That is why we are here." Rian's mind was spinning. He had trained for battles, for threats from outside the palace, and for political intrigue, but nothing could have prepared him for this. This was a different kind of challenge, a test of heart and loyalty rather than skill with a sword. He realized that protecting the family now required more than courage. It required wisdom, patience, and the ability to stand firm in the face of emotional storms. As the afternoon sun poured through the tall windows, Camilla spoke again. "Rian, I need you to understand fully. Charla is more than the child of the palace. She is my heart, and she is your responsibility now, in ways you might not yet see. The bond you share with her is special. It is stronger than duty. It is truth." Rian felt a sudden rush of emotion. He had always cared for Charla, but now the depth of his feelings hit him with full force. He realized that the connection he had always felt was no longer just loyalty. It was something deeper, something that tied him to her life in a way he could not explain. The queen's words hung in the air, heavy and full of meaning. Rian knew that the coming days would test him in ways he had never imagined. He would have to navigate palace politics, protect Charla from those who might not understand, and support Camilla as she faced the challenges of truth and power. As the evening approached, Rian walked to the palace garden alone, needing a moment to think. The wind rustled through the trees, and the sunlight cast long shadows across the pathways. He stopped by the fountain where Charla often played and looked at the flowers she loved so much. He felt a surge of determination. No matter what the future held, he would protect her. He would stand by Camilla. He would face the consequences of the truth with courage. The palace seemed quiet, almost peaceful, but Rian knew that the events of this day had changed everything. The secret, once buried in shadows, had come into the light. The journey ahead would be difficult, but he was ready. For the first time in years, he understood the true meaning of loyalty, love, and responsibility. And so, as the sun dipped behind the palace towers, Rian took a deep breath and prepared himself for what was to come. The kingdom of Alvora had seen calm days before, But the coming days promised challenges, revelations, and a story that would test every heart in the palace. Rian knew one thing with certainty. He would not falter, and he would not fail. The truth had been revealed, and now the real journey began. The sun rose slowly over the kingdom of Alvora, casting long shadows across the marble corridors of the palace. The palace itself seemed calm, as if nothing had changed. But inside Camilla's chamber, the air was heavy with unspoken words and emotions too strong to name. Rian stood by the window, looking out at the gardens where Princess Charla often played. The sight of her innocence filled him with both joy and a deep ache he could not describe. The truth of the DNA results had been revealed to him and Camilla the day before, and it now weighed on him like a mountain. He had spent the night walking the corridors, reliving every memory with Charla, replaying every moment of their closeness, and wondering how his life had changed without him realizing it. The realization that he was Charla's father had shaken him to his core. Camilla approached him quietly, her hands clasped in front of her. "Rian, you look exhausted. I know this truth is heavy, but you must remain strong. Charla needs us both." Rian turned to face her, his eyes filled with a mixture of shock and sorrow. I do not know how to be her father, Camilla. I have always cared for her, guided her, protected her, but I never imagined." His voice broke, and he could not continue. Camilla placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "You have already been her father in every way that matters. The bond you share with her is real. Love is what makes a parent, not only blood. You have done everything a father could do, and now the truth only gives that love its proper name." Rian took a deep breath, trying to steady himself. His mind raced with thoughts of the years he had served the royal family, the quiet moments with Charla, and the nights he had stood guard outside her door, ensuring her safety. All of it now had a new meaning, a meaning that both humbled and terrified him. He sank into a chair, feeling the weight of his emotions press down on him. Tears filled his eyes, though he did not let them fall. He had always believed that a god could not show weakness, but now he realized that some truths were too powerful to face without emotion. Camilla sat beside him, her expression a mixture of concern and understanding. "Rian, it is natural to feel overwhelmed. This is a secret that has been buried for years, and now it has surfaced. You are allowed to feel. You are allowed to grieve, to question, and to wonder. But you must also know that you are not alone. I am here with you, and we will face this together." Rian nodded slowly. He felt a wave of relief at her words, but it was accompanied by a new sense of responsibility that made his chest ache. He was no longer just a god, he was a father. The safety, happiness, and future of Charla now rested on his shoulders in ways he had never imagined. The palace doors opened quietly, and a servant entered with a tray of tea. Rian accepted it silently, trying to gather his thoughts. The warmth of the cup in his hands did little to calm the storm within him. He thought of Charla, of her laughter, her curiosity, her gentle heart. She had always trusted him, and he had always been there for her. But now, he had to be so much more. He had to be a guide, a protector, and a father who could face any challenge for her sake. Camilla's voice broke his thoughts. "Rian, we must also consider the king. He must know the truth soon. He loves Charla deeply, and I believe he will accept it if we present it wisely. But we must choose our moment carefully. The council, the advisors, they may not understand. They may challenge us." Rian's jaw tightened. The idea of facing the king, of revealing such a profound truth, filled him with fear, but also with resolve. "I will do whatever is necessary, Camilla. Charla's safety and happiness come first. I will face any challenge, speak any word, and bear any consequence for her." Camilla nodded, her eyes softening. "That is why I trust you, Rian. You have always been steadfast, loyal, and brave. Now you will need all those qualities and more. But I have faith in you. Charla's life is safe in your hands." Rian spent the rest of the morning in quiet reflection. He walked the palace corridors slowly, observing the familiar details, the tapestries on the walls, the golden chandeliers, the servants moving with purpose, but everything seemed different. The palace was the same, yet nothing felt the same. He understood that the secret he now carried would shape every moment of their lives from this point forward. By afternoon, Rian decided to visit Charla in the gardens. She was playing near the fountain, her hands full of flowers, her laughter echoing through the air. The sight of her innocence, so pure and untouched by the burdens of the palace, made Rian's heart ache with both love and sorrow. He knelt beside her, trying to hide the depth of his emotions. "Princess Charla, your flowers are beautiful today," he said, forcing a calm tone into his voice. Charla looked up at him with a bright smile. "Thank you, Rian. Do you want to help me make a bouquet?" Rian nodded, taking the flowers from her small hands. He smiled, though his heart was heavy. He could not tell her the truth yet, could not reveal the secret that would change her life. But he knew that he would always be there for her, guiding her, protecting her, and loving her in ways she might not fully understand for many years. As they arranged the flowers together, Rian felt a determination rise within him. He would carry the weight of this secret, bear the responsibility of fatherhood, and protect Charla no matter the cost. Nothing in the palace, no whisper of court politics, no challenge from the council, and no danger from outside forces would break his resolve. Evening fell over the palace. painting the gardens in soft shades of gold and pink. Charla ran ahead, her laughter carrying through the air, and Rian followed closely, watching her every step. He realized that his role as a father was not just about protecting her from danger but about sharing life with her, teaching her, guiding her, and standing beside her through every moment. Back inside the chamber, Camilla watched the two from the window. She felt a mix of relief and worry. Relief that Rian had accepted the truth and the responsibility it carried, and worry for the challenges that lay ahead. She knew that the coming days would test their strength, their courage, and their bond. But she also knew that they could face them together. Night fell, and the palace quieted. Rian stood at his post outside Charla's room, silently reflecting on the day. His heart was full of conflicting emotions: shock, love, fear, and determination. Tears had filled his eyes more than once, but he had wiped them away, knowing that he had a duty to protect. He thought of the path ahead. The king would soon know, the council would question, and the truth would ripple through the palace. But no matter what happened, he knew one thing: Charla's life, her happiness, and her safety were more important than anything else. He would bear this responsibility, and he would not fail. Rian finally allowed himself a moment of quiet reflection. The secret had been revealed, the truth acknowledged, and the bond between him and Charla strengthened by the knowledge he now carried. He felt the tears begin to fall, but this time they were not only sorrowful, they were the tears of commitment, love, and acceptance. He would rise stronger tomorrow. He would face the palace, the king, and the council. He would guide Charla, protect her, and love her as her father in every sense of the word, and he would do so with courage, honor, and loyalty that no challenge could shake. The kingdom of Alvora slept peacefully under the soft light of the moon, unaware of the storm of emotion, responsibility, and truth that had taken place within its walls. Inside the palace, however, a new journey had begun, a journey of love, courage, and unwavering devotion. Once simply a royal guard, now fully understood the depth of his heart, the weight of his responsibility, and the power of truth. He would stand strong no matter what came, ready to face the future and protect the princess he now knew was his daughter. The tears had come, but they were not the tears of weakness. They were the tears of a heart awakened, of a soul committed, and of a father prepared to face any challenge for the one he loved most. The morning sun bathed the palace of Alvora in a golden light, casting long shadows over the marble floors. The kingdom looked calm and peaceful, but inside the grand halls, tension filled the air. Today, the most important truth would be shared with the king. Camilla and Rian had prepared for this moment carefully, but neither knew exactly how the king would react. Camilla stood near the large window in her private chamber, her hands folded in front of her. She looked out at the gardens where Princess Charla played, her laughter echoing through the morning air. The young princess was unaware of the storm that had passed behind palace doors, and Camilla hoped it would stay that way for a little longer. Rian stood beside her, his posture straight, but his heart raced. He had spent days preparing himself for this moment. He had replayed conversations, imagined possible reactions, and steeled himself for anger, disappointment, or disbelief. But no preparation could erase the nervousness he felt. Today, he would face the king with a truth that had changed his own life. A truth that would change the life of Princess Charla. Camilla spoke softly. Rian, the king must know soon. He loves Charla, and I believe he will accept the truth if we present it wisely. But we must be careful. The council may not understand immediately. They may question our actions and intentions. Rian nodded. I will stand by your side, Your Majesty. Charla's safety and happiness are the most important. No one will harm her, and no one will make her feel less than she deserves. Camilla smiled faintly, her eyes glistening with tears. Thank you, Rian. That is why I trust you. You have always been steadfast, loyal, and brave. Now, your strength will be needed in a different way. The king entered the chamber shortly after, his presence commanding but calm. His expression softened when he saw Camilla and Rian, but there was also a quiet curiosity in his eyes. He had been informed that something important needed to be discussed, but he did not yet know the full truth. Camilla, Rian, the king said, his voice steady, I understand there is something you must tell me. Speak freely. Camilla took a deep breath. She had rehearsed these words many times in her mind, but now that the moment had come, her hands trembled slightly. Your Majesty, there is a truth about Princess Charla that I have kept hidden for many years. It is a secret that has weighed on my heart, but now it must be revealed. The king's brow furrowed slightly. A secret? What kind of secret, Camilla? Camilla looked at Rian for support, and he nodded slightly. She then spoke the words that would change everything. Charla is not your biological daughter. Her father is Rian. The room fell silent. The king blinked, his eyes widening slightly in surprise. He did not speak immediately, choosing instead to absorb the meaning of Camilla's words. Rian remained calm outwardly, but inside, his heart pounded. He had expected disbelief, anger, or confusion, and now he faced it all at once. The king finally spoke. Rian, my trusted guard. You are the father of Charla. Rian bowed his head respectfully. Yes, Your Majesty. I have always cared for her, guided her, and protected her. I promise to continue doing so with all my heart. I will stand by her side as her father and guardian, protecting her from any harm." The king's expression softened, and he looked toward Charla in the gardens. He saw her smiling, picking flowers, and laughing with pure joy. A warmth filled his heart as he realized how much this child meant to him. Regardless of biology, Camilla stepped closer to the king. "I kept this secret to protect Charla, to protect the kingdom, and to protect Rian. The world may not understand, but our family must remain strong." The bond between Rian and Charla has always been real, even before the truth was known. The king took a deep breath, his mind racing. He thought of Charla, of the happiness she brought to the palace, and of the loyalty and dedication Rian had always shown. Slowly, a smile touched his lips. "Charla is the light of this kingdom," he said softly. "Her joy, her heart, and her innocence are what matter most. I will continue to love her, support her, and guide her, regardless of this truth." Rian felt a wave of relief wash over him. The king's acceptance meant more than he could express. He had feared rejection, anger, or resentment, but instead, he found understanding, respect, and a shared commitment to Charla's happiness. Camilla looked at both of them, a sense of peace settling over her. "Thank you, Your Majesty. This means more than words can express. Together, we will guide Charla, protect her, and ensure she grows knowing love, security, and truth." The king nodded. "You have both acted with loyalty and wisdom. Rian, you have been a guardian, a mentor, and now a father. Your love for Charla has never wavered, and it will continue to shape her life in ways that no one else could. Camilla, your courage in revealing this truth ensures that our family remains strong and united." The three of them shared a quiet moment, the weight of the revelation giving way to understanding and acceptance. Rian felt a sense of purpose and resolve that he had never known before. He would protect Charla, guide her, and love her as any father would, without fear or hesitation. As the day progressed, the council of advisors was informed of the truth. Some were surprised, others questioned the circumstances, but the king's calm and understanding response set the tone. Charla's position in the palace remained secure, and her life continued with the love and care she had always known. Rian spent time with Charla in the gardens, teaching her about flowers, the history of the palace, and small lessons about life. Each moment was filled with laughter, learning, and the deep bond of father and daughter. Charla remained unaware of the full truth, but she felt the love and guidance of Rian in every smile, every gesture, and every shared story. Camilla observed them from the window, her heart filled with gratitude and hope. She knew that the coming days would still have challenges, but she also knew that their family was stronger than any obstacle. The bond between Rian, Charla, and herself was unbreakable, built on trust, love, and shared dedication. As evening fell, the palace glowed with the warm light of lanterns. The kingdom of Alvora appeared calm and peaceful, reflecting the harmony within its walls. The revelation of the secret had brought clarity, understanding, and a renewed sense of purpose to the family. Rian stood on the balcony looking out at the gardens where Charla played. He felt a sense of peace and determination. He had faced fear, surprise, and doubt, but he had emerged stronger, guided by love and loyalty. He knew that the challenges ahead would test him, but he was ready to face them with courage and devotion. Camilla joined him on the balcony, her hand resting lightly on his arm. "Rian, today has been difficult, but it has also shown us the strength of our family. Charla is safe, loved, and guided. That is all that matters." Rian nodded, feeling the truth of her words deep in his heart. "Yes, Your Majesty. Together, we will ensure her happiness, her safety, and her growth. Nothing will shake our bond." The night deepened, and the palace settled into quiet harmony. The secret had been revealed, the truth acknowledged, and the family stronger than ever. A new dawn awaited, filled with hope, love, and the promise of a bright future for Charla Rian. And Camilla. As the moon rose over the towers of Alvora, Rian knew that he had found his true purpose. He was not just a guard anymore. He was a father, a protector, and a guide. And with Camilla's support and the king's understanding, he was ready to face every challenge, nurture every moment, and build a life full of love and truth for Princess Charla. The kingdom of Alvora slept peacefully, but inside the palace, hearts were awake, filled with devotion, courage, and a commitment to protect the one they loved most. And in that quiet strength, a new chapter began, a chapter of love, unity, and hope for the future.